Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast with your hosts, the Brothers Newland. Now, let's talk toys.
Oh, wait, let me get my milk cap back on my milk bottle here. Oh, hey, everybody. I'm Michael.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Andrew, and I thought we were going to have a technical difficulty for a minute. Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast. This is episode 116. This is just a little podcast where the three of us like to get together, chat about toys from our childhood, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, like kind of the 70s. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We tell you about the history. We tell you about how they were made, how they were created, and pop culture, all that good stuff. We give you all the information about it. This week, we rewind back to, where are we going? We go to the 20s, Michael?
If we'll start in the 20s, but this actually goes all the way to the 17th century, or has roots in the 17th century.
Oh, wow. We're going way back. I know we're going to hit a lot in the 90s too, and we're talking about the 1990s. Some people watching or listening to this may not know that the 1990s existed, much less anything before that. So we're gonna hit back pretty hard.
In the 20th century,
yeah, that's right. We're talking about milk caps, or as they are more lovingly referred to as POGs. Unless you're from Hawaii, then you probably still refer to them as milk caps. But that's okay because you live in Hawaii. So you can get a couple things wrong. That's good. So before we could talk about POG milk caps, John, do your thing.
Do my thing. All right. Check our websites over at toyrewindpodcast.com or crossthestreamsmedia.com. If you're on Cross the Streams Media, of course, leave us a voicemail. Click on the little microphone down in the corner there, and you can do that. You can email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch is all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube is Toy Rewind Podcast. If you want to play a little game while you're listening to us or watching us, depending on how you're doing this, you can go to podcastbingo.com/Toy Rewind and play a little bingo. Let us know what you get.
Yeah, let us know what you get. Lots of fun. Those voicemails, we'd love to play some here. So be sure to leave us a voicemail there and over on crossstreamsmedia.com. Fun. All right, well, then let's jump right into it because apparently there's a much longer history than what I thought there was. So glad I'm not doing a history lesson here.
We'll get into it.
Got ties.
Here's what I don't understand. We'll get into it. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's rewind.
Right, let's rewind. Get into it.
All right. So we're going to talk about POGs. So POGs is also known as milk caps. It's a game in which players place milk caps face down in a stack. The players then take turns slamming a heavier object onto the stack, causing the stack to disperse. And any milk caps that flip face up, that player keeps. Once the stack is gone, the player with the most milk caps wins the game. Players can choose before the game starts to either return the milk caps to the rightful owners or to play for keeps. And I'm sure a lot of people played for keeps instead.
I mean, you just play for keeps.
The only way to play.
I thought that was the only way to play too. Yeah.
So you take turns slamming the slammer on them, and you get to keep what you most of the time keep what you
because
want.
If there's a certain POG you don't want to lose, you just don't play with that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the game the game originated in Hawaii during the 1920s and 30s. It has ties to a game that was played as early as the 17th century in Japan called Minko. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. So if not, let me know if it's not right. So Minko is a card game played by two or more players in which one player's card is placed on the ground and another player throws down their card, trying to flip over the first card, either with a gust of wind or by striking it and making it flip over. That player keeps both cards if it flips it, and then the player with all the cards or the most cards within the game wins. So it's basically the same. So that's how this has got roots all the way back to the 17th century. So how we got from the 17th century to the 1920s and 30s, there was Japanese immigrants that settled in Hawaii in between that time. So that's how the game kind of made its way into Hawaii, coming this direction. So, and then later the cards were replaced with the cardboard caps from the top of milk bottles. That's what they used to seal the milk bottles back in the 20s, 30s. Back then, there was no plastic back then, so that's what they used. So that's because it was more readily available than that. So going back to the Menko cards, pictures on these cards reflected popular culture of the time. Earlier cards have images of like ninjas and samurais, where newer cards, if you go before World War II, had popular images of military type things like fighter planes and battleships. And then after the war, you had characters from like anime, manga, and then as baseball came around a little bit more popular in Japan, you had baseball players as well on there, kind of like trading cards do here. So that's how the pictures and stuff came about on those cards, and then it kind of reflected back over to the milk tops there. Milk caps. So, after new packaging made cardboard milk caps obsolete, in the 1950s, dairy manufacturers would occasionally distribute the caps as promotional items. They put some kind of logo or advertising on them and put it, and then people would just kind of collect that. So when, and I may butcher this name because it's Hawaii, because it's from Hawaii and I'm from Texas. When Haleakala Dairy, that's it, Haleakala Dairy, when they used the milk caps to successfully promote in 1971 introduction of their fruit drink called POG, it led to a surge of similar promotions in milk cap collecting. So this new fruit juice came out. It was passion fruit, orange, and guava juice mixed together.
Okay,
and they just called it POG for short. Yeah. So it was just those tropical fruit juices all mixed together. And then in 1991, Haleakala expanded to the more populated Oahu Island, and then led a revival of the game which led to a revival of this game that they played back in the 20s and 30s. With the revival of the POG name began used as a generic name. People began using POG as a generic name for this because that's what they used these milk caps for, as advertisements for POG. So it was just a generic name that they called the game. So in the 1990s, revival is credited to a teacher named Blossom Galviso, who was an elementary teacher in Oahu. She introduced the game. She played as a girl. So back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, she was a girl. She played this game. She taught it to her teachers as a way of teaching math as a nonviolent alternative to other popular schoolyard games such as dodgeball. I would prefer playing dodgeball, but it was a way to teach. She used it as a way of to teach math, and then it was a game to play with everybody without having to, as a nonviolent game. So
But I know
And
people that got pretty violent on slamming down the slammers. So, I mean,
it got big enough where it got kind of carried away in certain things. Yeah. So, so the kids, like I said, the kids took to it. As far as learning how to play it, and you had these different pogs, and then you could win them. It was kind of, to me, it's kind of like gambling. I know a lot of other people see it that way too, because you get to keep. If you played for keeps, you get to keep it, and it's kind of like a gambling rush. Because ooh, I won all this, I'm gonna keep playing, and it just kept growing and growing. And then it started to the game kind of spread to other kids in the school as well. And then by early 1992, Stanpack Incorporated, which was the Canadian packaging company that had been manufacturing these milk caps that were distributed by Halakalala Dairy, they were printing millions of milk caps every week for shipment to that dairy. So just think how much extra juice and milk that dairy was selling that year. So,
right?
and plus, they were, it was. I'm sure you got one or two probably with everything as every one bottle or something as a promotional piece. So, see, the game ended up spilling over to the mainland. It started getting so big. Everybody started playing it, and then people brought it back over to the mainland over here. And it started popping up first around California, and then Texas, Oregon, and Washington. I don't know why they said Texas, but Oregon and Washington is along the west coast with California. But I guess there's a lot of people flying into Dallas, DFW, or Houston, or something like that from Hawaii. So
yeah, I mean that makes sense to me.
But once those once those states got into it, it started growing. It went across country, and then by 1993, it was worldwide. So this is a little game this lady introduced to these kids. She played it as a kid, and it was, she learned it from her parents, who learned it from their ancestors all the way, and then from it incorporated from this game from Japan, and it was just something that just grew overnight once she taught her kids how to play it, and it just blew up. We talked about Beanie Babies, how it just blew up and it was a fad. Now it may have blown up about as big as these milk caps, these Pogs were, but at least Beanie Babies are still around a little bit now. So it definitely lasted longer than these Pogs did. It hit a peak, and then it just did a nosedive all of a sudden. But with the popularity of these milk caps, the World Pog Federation was formed, and the Canadian Games Company introduced the Pog name brand. So with the World Pog Federation and the Canadian Games Company came together and said, let's just make them as a game, and then just sell it as a game. So that's what they did. They even had a little spokesperson, looked like some little Captain Caveman type guy, was their spokesperson. but it was starting to get so big, so they marketed it as Pog. Then after a comic book and card industry convention in January 1993, there was 7 other companies that joined in producing these things all these little milk cap shaped discs. I mean, they were no longer milk caps anymore. They were just little discs, and they were. I mean, they had them shaped like milk caps and everything, but there was more and more companies getting into it, and 2 of the bigger ones that were in on it were Skybox International, which I know as being a producer of sports cards, a lot of people do. They were integrated with Fleer and stuff like that, and they made some called Sky Caps, and then Marvel comic books got into it, and theirs were called Hero Caps.
Hero.
if you know anything about Skybox, they were originally called, the company was originally called Imperial, I think is what it was. They're the ones that made some of the first Marvel Comics card uh, playing cards, like baseball cards and stuff like that. So, but yeah, there's it looks just Andrew's got a, if you're looking up on YouTube, Andrew's got a picture of the Pog mascot there.
Pog, his name is Pogman.
Pogman, okay.
So it's pretty easy.
He looks similar to Captain
arm raised
Caveman.
Up and slam that thing down.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't knock it over with his foot first,
right? He's gonna hold it with his toe here.
Yeah. So the term POG was claimed as a trademark by the World POG Federation, but other companies claimed it was just a generic term. But since all the kids from Hawaii and stuff started calling it POG after the juice, all this kind of stuff. So in 1994, there was a lawsuit that was settled between the World POG Federation and the Universal POG Association. So there was two different POG groups there. And then POG was recognized as World POG's Federation exclusive term. And then Universal POGs had to change their name to Universal Slammers. So, and then,
yes,
because one other thing, I think this kind of had to do with the decline of it, but with so many children and stuff playing this game, it was interfering with school. There was, it originally started as a nonviolent game. I'm sure after you lost your favorite piece or whatever, you got in a few fist fights at school and stuff like that. There's a lot of people deemed it as gambling, like what I said earlier. So there was a lot of school districts and stuff like that across the country kind of banned it from schools. So I think that's one reason.
Oh, I was gonna say I know Brownsboro and Chandler banned it about halfway through '95.
Okay, so yeah, it just. I mean,
I couldn't answer that.
It was such a big thing that just people went crazy. So
yeah.
But there was so many companies getting in on this. You could get it. I mean, they gave some away in McDonald's Happy Meals. I don't remember if we got into any of that with our Happy Meal episodes, if we got that far yet in any.
I don't think we got that.
But they were. It's almost time to do another one, isn't it?
It's getting close.
Anyway, back to POGs. They were giving those away in McDonald's Happy Meals. You get it. It was a promotional piece for almost everything back in the early 90s, mid 90s. I've got some that came in my packages of baseball cards that had different team logos on them and stuff like that. You can get any kind of animated cartoon or anything was on it. And then you'd have slammers. The slammers were bigger and thicker and heavier. Most of them were made out of metal. That way you can hit it hard enough and fling it up. When it hits, it bounces all the discs everywhere.
Here's some of the McDonald's ones.
Yeah, they're from 1994. So.
Yeah, and then here is the Batman ones that came out. These were part of the McDonald's, but they're Batman specific. Or at least that's what I saw, what I was looking at. So,
yeah.
Talking about slammers, a couple different versions. Yeah. These are small plastic ones. Obviously, these are done by the POG Federation, and they come in different thicknesses, right? But these are just plastic. Here's a good picture of a bunch of metal ones.
I know a lot of people stopped using metal ones because it would actually damage the POGs even more.
It would damage the POGs, but
and people would actually Yeah, because there's so many different ones, and artwork were pretty good on a lot of them. People started collecting them, so you really didn't want to damage your collectible piece. There are some that are still worth a lot of money. There's there's a lot that aren't worth anything, but yeah, it's just all different kinds, any kind of artwork you can find on them. You can find them. So it's just crazy on what all you find there.
This is just a big pack of them, like our big stack, right? There's a bunch of Michael Jordans in here, wearing the 45 and the 23. I think that one at the bottom is somebody from a boy band, but I don't know who it is. So sorry, I don't listen to boy bands. So he looks like he's from a boy band from the 90s. And there's all kinds of artwork, right?
I'll show Megan that picture and see if she can tell me.
These were actually pretty collectible too. I had an orange tube, and it was pretty good size. But getting the different colors, and then you fill them up with stickers that you usually get with packs of POGs or whatever, and then bam, you got a nice little place to put your collection in. Also, very easy to help stack the POGs because you can fill them all in there, turn it upside down, and then pull it off.
Yeah,
right.
It'd be easy.
So
yeah. There's like I said, there's an endless amount of different artwork and stuff on them. So it's anything that was around that era. We saw one with Beavis and Butthead on it. I've seen, you had all your Marvel, you had your DC characters on them. All the sports had some. But yeah, and movies, TV series, musicals, just about anything you can music groups and stuff like that. It's just an endless amount of different pictures you can find on artwork on them. So yeah.
And then I know you talked about how it kind of faded out or whatever, but there are a lot of people trying to bring these back in different forms of fashion, like Funko.
I was gonna say.
Who adds a POG to every single one of their sodas.
Yeah.
The good thing about soda, that also tells you whether you got a chase or not. Right?
Yeah.
This one actually happens to be
every single one of them. So I've got several thanks to Funko.
I got a couple. So yeah, but those are things that I don't think the Funko ones, unless you're just getting a bunch of them, they'll never be played with. Nobody's ever going to play with those.
Are they the same size as those POGs back from the 90s?
Because I don't have any from the 90s, they seem about the same size.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you have some from back then.
I can't guarantee.
Yeah, they're stashed away, and I couldn't get to them quick enough to bring them out to look at them here. But
we'll have to.
But yeah,
go back and check that to see, because just to see.
Yeah, when I get a chance, I can pull them out, and I'll shoot pictures or something of them and send them, post them in social media, so you can look at it.
And if you happen to know, if you're a collector and you happen to know if these are the same, let us know. If I don't find out by the end of this weekend, I will ping some people that I know will know, and I'll find out.
Okay. So that's me in time to find out tonight. So that's the quick history of POGs, and I missed it. I missed out on it. I didn't. I was into trading cards and stuff like that, but I never got it. And some of by the time I was getting out, they were coming in. You get a little card with a couple of POGs on them that you punch out inside the baseball card packs, or basketball or football, whatever. And then I got it. Like I said, that's how I ended up with a few of mine. But I never really got into it at all to do that.
To be honest, Michael, it's probably with your collecting habits with baseball cards, it's probably a good thing you did not get into these, because it would just be another thing that you would have thousands of in your shoulder or in your closet.
It would be, yes, it would be.
Yeah.
That's why I've got to hold back on certain things that I like, that or I'll end up with a million of them, and yeah.
Yeah, and these being small, it's real easy to get a lot of them real quick. So, and then you'll be searching for the slammers that you want. Yeah, so it's probably a better thing that you did get into these.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what'd you find out, John?
The diameter of a POG is 1.6285 inches.
1.6285.
That's exactly what this is. I can tell just by looking at it. That's exactly.
I was to say this is very close to that. A little over 1.5 inches. So.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I do remember like I said, I had quite a bit. I don't remember any specifics that I had. I just remember I had a couple metal slammers, including one, like, I don't know if you guys saw the one that had it was like a razor, like a saw blade. Yeah. I did have a saw blade, and I had a couple others. I honestly couldn't even tell you how I got them, because I don't think mom and dad bought them for me.
You want them at school?
Probably most of my, I know most of my POGs that I had, I won or whatever. I mean, you're knocking over a stack of POGs. I mean, we would stack them up pretty high too, and then you knock it, and then they'd fall, and then yeah.
Do you remember what kind of artwork and stuff you had on yours, Andrew?
I had all kinds of stuff. I had Looney Tunes. I remember having some with skulls. I had some Batman ones, probably those Batman Forever ones. Turtles. I had all kinds of stuff. Like, it was a very, very wide range of things.
John, you don't remember having any, do you?
No, I remember playing this a little bit, but we got into other stuff, and POGS was very short-lived and pushed to the side. So I think whatever I had probably literally got into Andrew and just said here, because as it came up, it was all of a sudden not cool for some of us. So
yeah. It was more
from probably POGS to hacky sack or something like that, you know.
Yeah, it was more. Hacky sack was big during that time too. It was more elementary, middle school type kids. Yeah, because around that time I was in high school. John, you were junior high about that time.
Well, what Andrew said is Brownsboro got rid of them in 1985. Do you even remember that happening in 85, Michael?
95.
95.
So
no, it was kind of non-existent in the high school part, but I remember Andrew having so many of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was fifth grade for me. So yeah, fifth grade.
Right in the height of that time. Yeah.
So that makes complete sense.
Yep.
And that was graduation for
the other way, but yeah.
For him, for Michael. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, your fifth grade, his graduation year, you know,
you were eighth grade, John.
I was eighth grade going into high school after that. So, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I benefited from the fact that I was younger when those hit. So it made easy for us to get hold of, something for us to play with at school. And then they got banned, and then it was like, what's next?
Okay. And got banned and went to black market there.
Yeah, I do remember playing after, and I remember losing a lot of my stuff to like teachers because we would still try to play. And then I think it quickly went to like Pokemon and like Yu-Gi-Oh stuff after that. Like, but it was less because and even like John, like Magic was hitting pretty heavy at that point too. Card games like that, but that's less violent because you're not slamming the slammer down on those things. You're playing a card game, right? I mean, you get verbally
really nice
violent.
To see what your hits are, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
remember a little bit of that stuff, but not much.
Yeah, so it's quite a bit. I think it's a lot different. And the slammers were used like I remember people throwing them at people, and it's probably not the best. So
Especially if you have that saw blade.
I'll cut you in half. Yeah. So, but it was good. I did enjoy playing back then. I don't know if I would enjoy it now. I would be worried about damaging my shredder artwork.
I was gonna say now we're all about the artwork and stuff. It's gotta be.
It's more about collecting them now than playing the game, is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't even really display mine with my sodas. Like they stay. I usually leave them in the bottom of my soda can. They just stay in there.
Yeah.
Mine are somewhere. I have that one. The Beetlejuice was right there with my Beetlejuice for some reason, but I have all the others. I don't know where they're sitting, but they're around here somewhere.
But these are definitely. I'm glad we finally talked about these because these are definitely one that falls on that list of kind of fads, but still a fun kind of history, especially how it kind of grew really quickly. You know, things. I feel like things do that. You know, and real these aren't. Let's say these really aren't toys. These are collectible. You know, kind of like baseball cards. They're not the same thing as the toys. They don't stick around as much like the Turtles did or anything like that, where they're really long term. But these are fads, easy for companies to make, throw them out there, have their branding on stuff, and then bam, on to the next thing.
You're right.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure they made plenty of money off these things because as cheap as they are to make, and selling them for high dollar markup. Not a high dollar markup, but just they could make you make $5 for a penny, and then you sell them for 50 cents. And you got a lot of profit off of it.
Right.
Yep. So, all right. I think that's pretty much the history of POGs.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I can figure out how much it costs to make a POG, but it doesn't know.
Named after passion fruit orange guava drink. Yeah.
I learned that. I did not
Hawaii.
know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's passion fruit orange guava drink.
Yeah.
Maybe our friends in Hawaii can go have some passion fruit orange guava drink while they listen to our podcast.
There we go.
There we go. Enjoy. All right. Well, this is going to be kind of a short one because easy, quick lesson. So be sure you follow all the social media accounts that John mentioned earlier and go check out all of our partner podcasts that we have over at Cross the Streams Media. Pretty much anything that you could possibly think of that you want to listen to or find out about. There is a podcast for you out there, and there's a decent chance that it's on Cross the Streams Media also. Also, you can catch us wherever you're listening to us now, or Spotify, Apple, all those good places. You can check that list over on toyrewindpodcast.com, which is also where you can find, I almost got away with not doing this, where you can find our beautiful list of rankings, which we need to do, guys. Let's rank this.
Andrew forgot rankings.
Oh, yeah. That's a
I will give that.
That's a bingo square.
That's a bingo square. I think that's the first time I've heard that, but Andrew almost completely went through and forgot it.
No. I think it is a bingo square because I did it once before early on.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So I almost missed it. So all right, let's rank this. Do you guys want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. All right.
I love POGs. They're amazing. These are it's awesome. It's a great little game. It's fun. It's really fun to play, actually. It seems kind of weird, but it is fun to play. And I remember playing. It's up there. It's 2 for me.
Number 2,
John.
Okay.
2? You're putting it at 2?
Yeah. I gotta save it from the horrible rankings that y'all are about to give it. Here, let me go ahead and do this.
Really, because the funny thing is, no, you can go back up. The funny thing is me, it goes back into the board game deals, and board games are always big on my list every time because it's up there. But I will actually give these a number 2 hassle. also, they blew me out on that.
Family podcast.
But two, also,
Wow. Michael, if you
Number
say two,
two.
I will be shocked and surprised.
No, I'm gonna put this. I'm like Andrew. I'm gonna put it same right under where he put his. I'm gonna put it under Street Sharks, number 8.
Jeez.
Because your Street Sharks is number 1. I like it as awesome. I'm looking at it as like a collectible type thing with all the it's like playing trading cards. I don't want to say playing cards.
Yeah, definitely.
They're like trading cards. That's the way I'll look at it. I'm not looking at it as a game like John looks at it. And but
it's a game.
I think it's
it's
cool
collectible, but it's also a game.
With all the different. It's the artwork to me is what I like about it with all the different ones. So, yeah.
So I think that's the
great.
That's the thing that kind of tie all three of us together. We all look at the artwork, the great artwork that would be on these things, but we all look at it a little different. I have the recollection of playing, having fun, doing that. Michael is looking at it, the collector side of stuff, and everything. John is looking at it in the game side, like the board game side. We're all looking at it a little different, and I think that's kind of cool. I don't think we've had a line that we've been able to do that with.
No.
Why are you confused, John? Are you thinking?
No, I was trying to think if we've had a line like that, but no. I mean, it's either been board game, it's been collectible stuff or something, but this one actually goes through every single aspect of it. So, depending on who you are and how much,
Yeah,
go get you some POGs. Let's do this. I want some POGs for Christmas. I need some POGs.
We'll do that.
Dude, everybody get somebody POGs for Christmas.
Yeah, this is the collector in me just likes that.
You probably get about 1,000 for $10.
Probably so.
So, all right. Well, that's POGs. We also ranked it. It was pretty good. You can find lots of slammers and stuff. I was looking at them on eBay, anywhere from $3 to like $20, depending on what you're really looking for, and the collectible side of it. I didn't actually look at POGs on there except for like big groups. But they range from different, depending on what you're looking for. So, still a pretty good collectibles item. Like I said, Funko's doing them. I could actually I know the POG's not going anywhere, but because of this POG, I could sell this guy for quite a bit. Because it says you found a chase. So yeah, definitely. Thanks for listening to this episode. It's really kind of crazy to think we've got 116 of these. I know we've slowed down as of late, but we're still cranking these episodes out, and we thank you guys everybody for listening. So
thanks.
Are watching. Michael, how's it going with Motor and Mondays? You been able to get back to it?
No, but I've got a lot of stuff lined up. I just got to sit down and do it. So we'll see.
Okay. That sounds about
when
like
you have a big change in your life and stuff that slows down everything else for a little bit. So
I just got to get back in another rhythm of things. Yes.
Yeah, we'll get there. I mean, like I said, we might have slowed down, but we're still here. We're still trying to crank out these podcasts and different content for all of our followers and our listeners. So if you think we've disappeared, don't worry. We're not going anywhere. We're all still here. And with that, on behalf of the Brothers Newland at the Toy Rewind podcast, play on.
You've been listening to the Toy Rewind podcast. Follow and join in the conversations at toyrewindpodcast.com.